Coming up on ECG. So wait, hold on. The Disney Netflix thing is a bad thing?
Marvelous trouble.
Magic is entering the arena.
Can game journalists please learn how to actually play games?
All this and more coming up on the East Coast Geek podcast. Welcome to episode 111 of the East Coast Geek podcast for Friday, September 9th, September 8th. Wow, I wrote it wrong, and I even knew I wrote it wrong, and I still said it. September 8th, 2017, where we bring you all the latest news on comics, movies, and gaming. I'm your host, and I'm completely exhausted from this past weekend. And with me, as always, is Opu. How are you doing, buddy?
Hi, completely exhausted from this past weekend.
Yeah, well, you know. Things happen. Life happens, and that got in the way of last week's show, so, I mean, we'll blame it on that, but that was kind of not the reason. Anyways, you know, things are going. How's everything on your end? Everything good?
Pretty good overall, I think. I'm, actually, to brag about myself, I'm trying to get a short story into a anthology book, and I just finished reviewing the critiques that I got on, and tried not to break my, try not to go crawl in the corner and cry because I forgot to put him instead of her or whatever.
Oh, no.
And they're like, hey, maybe you need to change this word. I'm like, this is the worst thing ever.
Good Lord.
Actually, I've been busy waiting for you and everything else to get resolved. I've started playing Skyrim on Twitch and doing a terrible job at that. Because I decided I normally play like a mage knight type of thing, but I was like, I'm going to do like the stealth and bow stuff this time because I always see the memes about that. And well, I tried it and it's too easy. Even if you ramp it up on harder mode, it just like increases the range they can see and bumps up their health. It doesn't increase the AI's intelligence that much.
Wow.
So you still inadvertently glitch around things. So I just do it as like a last resort type of thing. Until
they unleash the AI learning on us, we probably won't see any increase in difficulty like we really want to have. So, but I mean, we didn't really cover it because we don't really cover tech news anymore. But I think Google and a couple others have turned off their AIs because they started talking in shorthand that only they could understand.
Yeah, I think that was Facebook, but yeah. So what they would say is like the first word, like so they were trying to barter with each other, and if somebody was trying to sell a baseball, they'd say baseball, 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 baseball like 4 times, and each time the first word was what they're trying to sell, and how many times they said it is how much they were going to pay for it. Like it was increments of 5 or 10 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So they ended up turning it off because not because it was like communicating in a secret language that they couldn't understand because they kind of did. It's just that they weren't communicating the way they wanted because English was too inefficient.
Even the computers know that the English language is a burden.
But it's so amazing. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, because we can say there and you don't know which word I'm talking about.
You gotta just do context.
Well, yeah, but I just said the word there, so
yeah.
Which one am I talking about?
Well, again, you gotta give us some context.
No context, just there. Yeah. I don't have to give you context. Yeah, the computer learning thing. I mean, there was that. The Google one, I think, was actually doing computer shorthand, where they didn't know what it was saying, or they had an idea, but if somebody else saw it, they'd be kind of scared, because they were trying to shorten to make it, like you said, efficient. That was the big deal. Because it keeps having to use English language words like we do in programming, and it just, throws it off. So, but anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about cool stuff like video games and movies and
and making fun of people. But yeah, so I also played Sonic Mania. You saw the box. You see the box still sitting here because I am a slob, along with all this other crap on the floor. Don't look over there. Look over here. But it's really fun. What they've done is they've taken like a bunch of old levels. They kind of tweak them. They have the then they have a lot of new levels with new gimmicks and stuff, and they have first of all, the opening cutscene is just amazing. I love it, and I'm absolutely adoring this game. It's a great Sonic game. It's one we've been asking for years, and finally have gotten. That's all I really got to say about it. Again, I'll try to stream it some. I streamed it the other day. Again, I streamed it the other day, and it glitched out on me like really weird on Twitch. And it kept like playing old audio on top of my new one. And so it was like a really weird like remix. But
you have to start linking your archived videos from when you stream so people can watch it too if they want to.
Yeah. I really got to start actually recording the stuff too and all that.
Well, you can do that. You can do that through Twitch. You just have to turn the setting on. It should have.
I thought I put that setting on.
Well, then it should be there. I can look later. Anyways, so you've been doing that. In the very little time I've had to play this week, I have played some Battlegrounds.
Of course.
Battlegrounds hit 1 million concurrent players on Steam, by the way. It's not a surprise. They also surpassed the 10 million sold mark. So what's 10 times $30? 300 million? 300
million?
Yeah, 10 million.
It's between $1 and $1 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Although $1 billion might be a little high. Anyways, I've been playing that. Rainbow Six Siege just got their 3 new operators, including a Polish operator. She looks like her profile on her picture. That's too many zeros, Perry. The profile picture at the beginning of each round, she looks like an anime character, and if she's the top player on the team, she has this really intense like look on her face, like she's surprised.
And see, I thought you were going to say her win animation was pole dancing.
Oh,
Get
good one.
It?
It's not
she's Polish.
Funny. Oh man, I was at the grocery store today, and they scanned my card. It was Food Lion. They scanned my card, and they said, and the girl behind the register said, "Oh, a fellow Polak." So I'm looking around. It was like, did I wear my Polak sign today or what? How did she know? She's like, no, when I scanned your card, your name came up. I was like, oh. I was still waking up, so it was bad, you know. But anyways, yeah, the Rainbow Six thing, and then while I was playing some Rainbow Six Wednesday night, yeah, I think it was Wednesday night. I was talking with one of my friends, and we were talking about the good old days of EVE Online, so I started playing that. So, you know, it just, I don't know, it scratches some itches. And I like the space combat stuff, and they have really done a lot of interesting stuff with it. So,
you've always had like the space thing. You did. Didn't you play Starbound for a while too?
Oh yeah, Starbound's great, but that's
you played Starbound. What's the other one? That's VR now.
I've been streaming Everspace. That one also has a VR component too. Rick and Morty, that has space.
No. What was it?
Oh, Elite Dangerous, yeah.
There you go, that's it.
Yeah, that one's great too. That one's like a more direct flight thing, where EVE Online's kind of more of a strategy-based driving.
Right.
But anyways, you know, it's a lot of fun. They've done a lot of improvements. They've actually made it a lot more like beginner friendly, so you kind of get the tutorials really help out on the what's it called? On how to learn how to do things. I mean, it still drops you in the deep end, but at least it gives you a little bit of help. And yes, Spartacus, I know they remastered LA Noire. They're going to do it for VR. That's going to be amazing. 7 cases, including driving and gunfights. I am blown away and excited. I cannot wait to do that. LA Noire
and not to mention the tar. Walking through the tar in VR.
You didn't walk through the tar pits. It was such an amazing game that even my wife played it. She usually doesn't play the open world games, but she really likes that generation of detective stories and stuff like that. So she was even on board on that, and she actually beat it too. I was amazed, kind of, because I'd never actually seen her play a game like that before. She's played WoW and a couple others, but that's like a more in-depth gaming environment. So. She really likes it though, so I told her that, and she was excited about that as well. I can't wait for that. I need to try a couple of the other things. I've gotten a couple of free games from Keymailer for VR, including I think one of them's called A Day at the Range, so it's a shooting simulator. So I'll have to try that out too. I just haven't gotten the time to do so. But yeah, there's that on the horizon as well. But let's talk about the people that talk about video games for a minute. What do you say?
Yeah, so this game's coming out soon. Cuphead. We've talked about it on the
Numerous
show before. It's basically a Mega Man game. You know, jump and shoot, that kind of stuff. Except you're playing like an old, like 1940s cartoon, so it looks great, and the music and all the animation. That's really the selling point. The gameplay itself isn't anything new, really. So this gaming journalist, this guy that's been in the industry for about 25 years, 18 to 25 years, seems to have had trouble playing. And considering that, well, so the long and short of it is, if you can't do your job, why are you doing that job? If I didn't know how to set schedules or talk to people and stuff, I probably wouldn't still have my job. Jeremy, I'm sure if you didn't know the technical components, you probably wouldn't have your job, would you?
No,
they don't
not at
hire
all.
us because we're pretty, because, I mean, look at us.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, and this really makes sense the last few years, how game journalists have really been against games and gaming in general, or gamers in general.
Well, look at my favorite person, Anita, said she said she's been playing video games all her life, but she had to learn how to play video games to become a video game journalist. Or that, what was that other one? Brianna Wu said something stupid about that, too.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much all have said something stupid. I mean, this is like, well, let me get into the story. So, Dean Takakashi is the lead writer of GamesBeat at VentureBeat. He's been a tech journalist for more than 25 years and has covered games for 18 years. So, he tried to demo the tutorial levels of Cuphead and couldn't get past the tutorial. This is a tutorial level where it literally says on the walls what to do. Hey, press this button to duck or whatever.
Right.
And so people, they posted his video on YouTube under the original title, Cuphead Isn't Easy or something like that. And people started railing on him. And they're like, hey, to be fair, he writes a bunch of industry. Like, basically what he does, people, let's be honest, is he takes the public dossiers or whatever, the public announcements from game companies, and he rewords and puts a couple of jokes in and then posts it on the internet. Let's be honest, that's what game journalism is if they're not reviewing games. And people are like, well, why are you being so hard on him and stuff? The problem is, it was a tutorial level. This wasn't Super Meat Boy's last few levels. This wasn't Battletoads. This wasn't Superman 64. This was the tutorial level. This was level 0-1. You know? This is literally the easiest they can make it for you.
Like you said,
nobody's asking him to be an instant expert. We're just asking you to be able to understand how to read and follow the instructions on the screen.
Do you want me to start the video?
Go ahead and start the video, because let's see if it... Hopefully I'll finish this rant, but watch this video that he's about to play. For people that are just listening to the podcast, it's him playing the tutorial versus a pigeon trying to move a block, trying to realize that he can use a block to stand up and grab this piece of food that he can't jump to. So this is basic competency, basic reading comprehension that he seems to struggle with. And he literally tweeted this, figuratively, I should say. But the game didn't, he says, it didn't say stand on rock, which is farther away because the dash will take you higher and farther than your jump can. That was in his tweet. That is Mega Man. Mega Man X. Remember when the thing fell and you had to learn the wall jump? Because the game was like, okay, there's a way to get over here, obviously. Figure it out. We have you in this completely safe area. You just have to jump up the wall.
This video is hilarious, by the way.
It's hilarious and it's pathetic. You know, again, you couldn't put me on, put me at the final level of... It's like gaming 101. You're right, it's platformer. Platformers are like the basic level of gaming. Obviously, you couldn't put me on the final stages of StarCraft 2. I would totally lose. I'm not that good at RTSs. I play them and I do enjoy them. I'm just not that good at them.
And even
I'm
says
not big on first-person shooters, so you couldn't put me on the last level. But level 1? I should be able to handle level 1. Go ahead, what were you saying?
I was gonna say it even says on the wall. It says or hold for a high jump.
Yeah.
Oh, he finally got it! Yay! I need to get this game.
And so these are. I've got a bunch of comments here, both from Reddit and from Twitter. So somebody responded with, "Don't you normally stand on a stool or a chair or something if you can't reach something in real life, though?" Like, people. And here's a comment from this. This is a section. Well, no, actually, people have tried to counter by saying he spends more time going to conventions and interviews than gaming, but he still writes reviews.
Right.
So that completely nullifies that argument. He writes reviews for these games. Oh, we're going to get to some of those, trust me. How can anybody take his opinion seriously anymore? This is like the head writer for Car and Driver says the new Ford Focus is undrivable. Oh, it's a manual transmission, and I don't know how to drive a stick. I actually hate manual transmissions and never drive them. So he's more of a car news journalist. Here are his opinions about the new Ford Focus with a manual transmission, which he doesn't like. You don't need, and yes, you don't need to be good at something to analyze it, which can be true for most things. You don't have to know how to make a movie. You don't know how to write a book, but you understand story structure.
I mean,
you understand what. Go ahead.
To explain who hates manuals. To put it in even more perspective, you and I, we do this show. We do talk a lot of crap about some things, but most of the things that we're talking about, we have experience doing some of these things. Like, I've been playing video games since I was a little kid playing Mario Brothers. Like, even the arcade version of the Mario Brothers. You remember that thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We actually had. Oh, I don't want to get into that. That'll be a nostalgia trip for me. But yes, I absolutely remember that now.
So, and between that, the experience that you have in reading and also drawing as well for comic type things, you and I read books and we understand how like story structure works. We've watched our plenty of shares of what video volume. Anyways, the what do you call it? What was I saying? I totally got sidetracked. I gotta stop reading chat. Anyways, why am I struggling? Go back on the train. We have experience.
Even casual experiences is basically what you're saying. You're aware of things. You should cultural osmosis.
What did it say? He's been doing this stuff for 19 years? Oh, 25 years.
He's been in the tech industry as a journalist for 25 years. He's been doing games for 18.
All right, so 18 is long enough to even know how bad Battletoads was. At least have heard of it.
Yes.
This game it pales in comparison.
Yeah, so here's the thing about that. Okay, I understand that. Here's the thing: you don't have to know how to cook to be able to judge whether food's good or not. Gaming is different than like football. Football is mainly watching, and guess what? The commentators and the writers for it usually have played.
Usually, so or they have been covering the sport for so long that they've picked it up through osmosis, basically.
Yep.
So
it would make sense if he only wrote about actions within the industry, but he writes reviews.
Yeah.
Of games he doesn't know how to play. You experience games. You pick it up and you become a part of that game, whether you like it or not. So, the argument comparing him to like the football commentators. Yes, Aaron Andrews probably has never stepped on the field in gear.
Right.
But that doesn't mean she can't sit there and watch and analyze it. You can sit there. If you spend 10,000 hours watching movies, you understand how movies work.
Right.
If you've seen Citizen Kane, then yes, you could compare it to something like the Emoji Movie and be like, well, I see why this one's bad and this one's great. Here's the other problem with me. This shows the low standards in professional gaming journalism. Every other hobby has a journalism angle to it, but they present themselves in a usually professional manner. Why is gaming journalists exempt from not only being decent at games, but sometimes lacking a basic understanding of grammar? If you've read any of the recent things, basic research, which we're about to get into. Here's some comments that he's said over the years. This guy, this Dean Takikashi or whatever his name is a person that said Warhammer, people, Warhammer,
Right.
ripped off Halo.
Wait, what?
Warhammer has been around since the 1970s, at least. He said that at one point. Then he backtracked. He's like, well, they took me into a room and they showed me this thing and they asked me my opinion of it, and that's what I said. Well, you should be able to say, oh, this has the Warhammer logo. This stuff looks like Warhammer. Oh, that's Warhammer, yes. He also said Warhammer 40K copied Gears of War. I'm letting that sit for a second. Dead space right there. Dead air. If Gears of War ripped so much off.
This guy said this.
Alone.
This guy needs to be like gotten rid of.
No,
hey, listen.
Here we go.
He's not doing. Let me say
this. Hold your thought, because this one you need to save your energy for. This is the guy who wrote an extremely negative review about Mass Effect 1, saying it was defective and broken. The problem? He forgot to assign skill points in this space shooting RPG and played almost the entire game without leveling up, making it almost unplayably difficult for him. He didn't understand leveling up in Mass Effect, where every time you open the menu, it's like, hey, you've got about 150 points you really need to spend. Every time you pull it up, it's like, here's points. It like you're on your main screen running. It has it like flashing in the corner. Hey, here's like 2 or 3 points you can spend.
Well, I was gonna say that thing is annoying. That is annoying. How can you not put in those skill points? It reminds you every 5 seconds that you have skill points to assign.
This is why a lot of, I mean, first of all, this is why most gaming journalists these days only want to review like walking simulators and visual novels, because they're over in 2 hours. They don't have to put in 150 hours. They can knock out 6 of them in a day. You know, they don't, and they only have to judge 2 things. They have to judge the story and the graphics in it. Well, the gameplay. I mean, I pushed the thing and it walked. So
Destiny.
What happened? Huh?
I have a collector's news week for Destiny's launch that had great articles written because they actually got hands-on and played, but they also did their research on the story, so they knew. You know, he'd probably miss a level up on Ark. Oh God. But it keeps flashing at the top of the screen and it won't go away. Oh gosh. Oh, what's this guy? This guy. Okay. So, anyways,
I mean, this is why you have to do it yourselves, people. You can't trust reviewers, especially gaming reviewers these days. You have to play it for yourself. Pull up somebody's Let's Play. You can tell in that game if they don't know how to play it. Here's the thing. Here's the difference between streamers and video we saw of him. Streamers sit there and they have to try to entertain you at the same time. You know, they're sitting there trying to talk. They're trying to interact with their audience. So, yes, they can miss stuff. First of all, if they're not going to miss stuff on a tutorial like that. Not a tutorial that holds your hand like that. That's the other thing that pisses me off about gaming journalism. Everything's compared to Dark Souls. They say, oh, this is like the Mario meets Dark Souls. No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, yeah. This is Mega Man, okay? Yeah. If you had played Mega Man, you would know that.
That was a close one.
All right, that was a close one.
Dark Souls. This game's unplayable. I couldn't even make it out of the tutorial mission. Those skeletons are mean.
I think he said something like that too. It's just, or somebody said that. Now here's the thing: there's a difference between people are comparing it to the Doom Polygon video. If you remember that, I mean that one was cringy, but this is worse.
Yeah, this is way worse.
I mean, you know, I get Doom in the new Doom game. I got distracted by like scenery and stuff. And again, I'm not good at first-person shooters. And whenever I review a game, like on here, I tell people, I'm like, this is not a genre for me. However, this is the stuff I liked about it. This is stuff I didn't like about it. Like Sonic Mania, I absolutely tell you, anytime I review something Sonic, you probably can't trust me, because if I like it, I'm going to say it's the best game ever. Like Sonic Mania, my God, that's a good game. And let me tell you something about Sonic Mania. I didn't. Yes, I know the Sonic, and I know the platforming genre. So I didn't die until like the 4th world or stage or zone or whatever. And I only died on the bosses because my idiot self didn't realize that I could just spin dash into the attacks and knock them back at the boss. I was trying to jump on them, but because the way they've changed the way jumping and momentum work, on certain stages, it threw me off. But then I figured that out, and I was like, oh. And plus, I was playing it like 1 a.m. It was like, if you watch, I'm sorry to cut you off. If you watch video, it's like he's holding the controller and he has to look down. And like, which one's the button? Like, okay, dude. And the thing is, he says he plays console games, so he can't even say, "Well, I'm used to a keyboard," you know?
Yeah.
Because at least, like with me, I could understand that. And some other game designer or reviewer tried to jump to his defense. It's like, well, when I was supposed to be playing a demo for an audience at one point, you know, I didn't check the key mapping to it, so I kept screwing up, and that's what they made the YouTube video about. Well, that's different, dude. Your keys weren't mapped right to what you're used to.
Yeah.
This is a controller.
Do you think he's any good at phone games?
He plays mobile games. He plays mobile games and walking simulators, and he might play some RTSs. Stuff that he can sit there and press A on. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through some of his articles through his Twitter page, and they just... I don't know. He's got quite a few mobile game reviews on here. So maybe he's specialized in phone games instead. I don't know. He has quite a few followers. He has more than me.
I mean, again, and I bet you he's probably falling back on that defense. So I'm just like, well, look how many followers I have because I've been in the industry for 18 years. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So, anyways, have we bashed on him a sufficient amount, or do you have a few last words?
Well, I mean, like I said, like, you know, I'm not necessarily bashing on him. I am, but like, it's just this is what gaming journalism has become, and it's evolving faster than they can adapt. So they're lashing out at people for them not being good at their jobs, not understanding how to write a review, not knowing how to do research. He said Cuphead was from the makers of Super Meat Boy. It's not. He glanced at a Wikipedia article. You know, people pull up Let's Players more often these days to see the game. Because that shows them, especially the ones that don't interact with their audience, that just sit there and play, and they might occasionally make a comment when something's loading, but they just play through the game. Because you're going to get a better understanding. Because guess what? That's the real-time video right there. Yeah. You know?
I would hope that one day that I can get, like, sway people into buying stuff based on what I do in my games. I have a blast playing what I do, and most of the time it's a lot of fun because I play with friends, so we have good funny conversations to keep the time going. But you know, there's some games, like if somebody had never played Rainbow Six before, wanted to know how to play it, I'd love to sit there and explain to them. And when people ask questions, yeah, hey, this guy does this. It allows him to stop offensive characters from making moves too fast through a zone that you don't want them to move through as quickly, so you can use it as a kill box or whatever. But or like Everspace, I've been playing that. That's a lot of fun. It is. Trying to remember. I think I started playing with the controller, and then I started using a mouse and keyboard because obviously the mouse and keyboard I can point to where I want to shoot at, and it works a little better.
All right.
But like games like No Man's Sky, the controller is very intuitive. It works really well for the type of game that it is, even with the space combat. Lining up shots isn't that bad, but when I'm mining a large segment of the gold or whatever, the big towers of freaking elements, I use the mouse and keyboard because it's quicker, and it, you know, even though I don't get the vibration feedback when it's overheating, it's still more accurate to hit the little pieces because they have a weird braking model on that. But anyways, I'd like to be a voice of reason for some video games, to be able to give a good enough review based on what the person's seeing in combination with my opinion. And I have a particular play or a style of play. You have a particular style of play. We might not play the same way, but at least there's options out there for people. These reviewers are like... I stopped getting magazines so long ago because the reviews just suck. I can just go online and watch somebody play.
Right. And yeah, you always have to take people's opinions with a grain of salt. Because like I said, I'm not that good into fighting games. I'm not that big into racing games. I've just been kind of getting into first-person shooters these last few years because of BioShock, the BioShock series, Skyrim, the Fallout series. Oh, not necessarily just Skyrim, but obviously Elder Scrolls. Might as well just say Skyrim because they released it
The
They've released it 15 times by now. But you know, those games, because I tried to play them in third person, but I was like, no, this is a game that is, even though they give you that option, it's cool. This is built for first person. So you just have to go with the grain of salt. And it's always nice if the people start off in their review be like, well, listen, I'm not a fan of this genre, but I really like this game, or I really didn't like this game. But you have to realize I don't play this all the time, so I don't know how to like. If you literally have seen 2 movies before, Ace Ventura and I don't know the Mask or something, then yes, you can't. You might say, well, I don't know what else to compare it to. Compare those 2 movies, you know, like
right.
So I mean, but fortunately, I've played enough fighting games. I can say, well, I prefer stuff like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 over Injustice.
Right.
I mean, at least you got. Not everything's Dark Souls, okay, game journalists. I know that's your big thing right now, but more people will freak out if you say the Battletoads Rat Race, not Rat Race, but that is a hard one. That's a hard one. That's when you have to run. I think that's the one where you run and you're trying to beat the rat to the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And he gets faster. And you literally, like the last part, you cannot mess up on. But, you know, people will freak out more over that than, like, Dark Souls.
Right.
Because there's no, like, coming back from that.
And Twitch has given you that tool that you can actually interact with them, like we said.
Mm-hmm.
But you get that live look into it. And for people like yourself, sometimes you don't feel like playing a game, but if I say, hey, this has got a great story, you're probably more inclined to go watch somebody's Let's Play and just enjoy the story as they're playing it, which I don't really get. I'd rather play a game, whether I drop it.
I always try to go for playing the game myself.
But my kids. I will
say this: the Let's Plays I like to watch are just either stuff I've already played through before, and I want to see somebody else play it, or stuff without a plot. So, because if I've got Twitch or something pulled up, I'm playing something else.
Yeah, you want something mindless that you can kind of pay attention to what you're watching, or you want background noise while you're playing.
Exactly.
Something that, yeah. So one or the other.
I can't even watch that many Let's Players these days because they don't care about the game they're playing. They're more like trying to do the goofy antics. Like, so they all want to
be PewDiePie,
and I watch like. Pro Jared, because Pro Jared sits down and he focuses on the game.
Well, see, and that's the nice thing is when you get a streamer that wants to know how to play the game and they can't figure it out, they talk through it and they're like, well, okay, I tried this, I can't do this, or like people that play Hearthstone, they're like, oh, well, I played this card and it just didn't work for me this time, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of my deck and I'm going to put this card in instead because I think it'll give me more offense or defense or whatever the case may be. But they actually talk through it. You got a game journalist, the only thing he posted was that video of him playing with no audio, then, what's the point? If you got the audio, why aren't you saying something to, let us know what's on your mind.
At like a demo thing or something, and it's like, if you watch it, and if you watch the full one, like because it goes past that tutorial level, because he keeps trying to jump on stuff like Mario, even though it's a shooter.
Right.
It's a platforming shooter. It's a Mega Man game, basically.
Right.
Keep saying that, but that's what it is. It's like there's long pauses where he stops. Like somebody said, "Dude, no, you have to do this."
Right.
It reminds me when you're little and your mom makes you play with your little brother, and your little brother doesn't know how to play, and you're sitting there like, "Come on, man, this is level 1-1 of Super Mario Brothers.
Let's go, get this done.
Let's go, bro. Let's go, bro."
Right.
This isn't the Ninja Turtles dam level.
Right.
Ooh,
all right.
That's a good one. All right. Well, that's enough of that.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go talk about DC. How about that?
Yeah.
That sound like a good idea. We actually have a bunch of comic section or a bunch of stories in the comic section today. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing we've got is
hey, how you doing? I'm so low key. I'm so low key. I get it. You were quite street, ma'am or sir.
All right, so Gotham by Gaslight animation has been revealed. And,
okay, now this is dated. This is from a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to leave it in there because
that's fine.
Go ahead.
We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, so it's nice to have a follow up. So basically, this picture that I have here now. This is what from the comics, right?
Yeah, that's one. That's like from one of the covers, I think, or one of like
Okay.
the inside panels that, not necessarily panels, but pages where it's like another splash picture.
So it looks cool. He's got like a Victorian cape, stuff like that. The bigger gloves that are like coachman's gloves.
Yeah, stuff like that, like bigger pouches and everything.
Right. It looks like a
Um,
leather adventurer's belt, actually.
yeah, yeah. Just think of Victorian era. Obviously, type of stuff hits the Gaslight part. The art. So if you don't know Gotham by Gaslight, it was drawn by like Mike Mignola, which and somebody else, and the name escaped me, and I forgot to put it in my notes, so I apologize. But then they released like video of it, and it looks okay. But when he switches to the next screenshot, it's like
there.
it seems to have lost something in the translation from Mike Mignola's very unique art to this. Like
The cloak looks like the cuff is too big. It's too folded over. It should just be straight up.
Yeah,
you can actually see
hopefully
it
I grabbed the right screenshot on this because this is the one I found on some of the articles I was comparing them. There was another one that looked worse.
Oh god.
But I don't know. It's just first of all, I'm tired of Batman movies. I'm tired of them. There's so many other great stories out there. I've said this 1,000 times on here, but it just doesn't look as inspired. If you've seen the Hellboy animated,
yeah, those look. Yeah.
Not even just the shorts. There were some long movies. Those were like a good blend of his style because he's got a lot of black in his paintings and drawings and stuff.
Right.
And even there was a short show called The Amazing Screw-On Head.
Tired of
You're
Batman.
always tired of Wolverine, even though he's not been in anything, like animated-wise, movie-wise, except for Hulk Versus. But he's been in every comic known to man. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. It just feels like it clashes to me. I don't know.
I got you. Yeah, I don't know. We've been seemingly disappointed in some of the animated stuff lately, like we talked about Spider-Man and the lack of shadows, which was funny. As I sent Mitch or Opu, I sent him a post from I think Reddit. Someone like a week or two after we talked about the Spider-Man animation and how it didn't have any shadows. I saw something on Reddit with someone saying, "Where are all the shadows in the Spider-Man animated show?" I was like, well, we talked about this, but yeah, it's there's an issue that why some things have it, some things don't, and it should, and it's not even stylized. It's like they forgot or didn't have enough money to pay the guy to finish the shadows.
Yeah, and it really, really sticks out. Like, I go back and I look at some cartoons and they don't have it, and I'm like, well, it works for this cartoon because that's the style, but when it's superheroes, like superheroes are supposed to be shadowed because it shows off their muscles,
right?
And it's supposed to be super detailed.
It's not like the old Ninja Turtles game where the sun was directly above them and they just had that little circle underneath, the little circle shadow.
Oh yeah, I absolutely remember that. But see, it still works for them. And the thing is, even those old '80s cartoons had the details. The characters had shadows and stylized and.
Right.
I don't understand what's happened. It's just they've gotten lazier, and what's especially frustrating is they're owned by a company that revolutionized animation, and they released. We know Disney can do good because they've got. First of all, they've got the Disney Afternoon from the '90s, which again they've had shadows. They just released a new DuckTales, which looks great. It doesn't have doesn't really have shadows, but the cartoons, but they're stylized and it works, and the animation's nice. It doesn't look as bad as the animation in the Spider-Man show.
Right.
They just did Gravity Falls, which is one of the best animated shows ever made.
That show is amazing. I just want everybody else to know. Mitch talks about it all the time on the show here and there, and was sad to see it go, but happy to see it go out on its own terms, and that's a great thing for a show.
Mm-hmm.
But that show is a hidden gem, and the voice actors were spot on for everything. And I mean, you had, what's Redheaded's name from T.J. Miller as one of the voices throughout, and Grunkle Stan was, or not Grunkle Stan, the other Stan. His brother, right? Was his brother?
Oh, he was J.K. whatever his name is.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons.
Yep, there you go.
And what was the other one? Who's the Linda Scampanelli or whatever her name is? She's from
Bob's Burgers and stuff.
Linda Cardellini. She was in she was in Grandma's Boy, but she also played Daphne in the live action Scooby Doo movies as well. She was in that
Buffy?
too.
Did she play Buffy?
No, that was not Daphne. Velma. My bad.
Oh,
Velma.
oh,
Linda
yeah.
Cardellini played Velma in the live action Scooby Doo movies too. So she's been around, and I recognized her voice too as the love interest of what's his name, and the one that plays the voice of not Tina, what's her the middle sibling on Bob's Burgers.
No, the youngest one. The middle one's the guy.
That's right. My bad.
Yeah,
I forgot.
We're talking about the youngest daughter, whatever her face is. What do you mean by Superman
Louise.
or Batman? By the way, I'm so low key. Well, you're talking. Superman he's had like 3 animated movies.
You know what? Listen.
So,
You know what they need to do? If they're going to do stupid offshoot movies and not be in a universe, then I do want to see the Red Sun be done.
Oh, yes.
Because
Yes.
you and Greg have told me so much about how cool the Red Sun is, and if for those of you that don't know, and for those of you that do know, because it'll be a trip down memory lane, the Red Sun is if Superman, when he came to Earth, landed in Soviet Russia instead of in America, and was raised by a Russian family. And then...
he was raised by the Russian government.
Oh, he was raised by the Russian government. Whatever. Okay, yeah. Anyways. You
cool.
prefer
I still
Superman?
actually like a better Flash movie than Paradox. I still think the Iron Heights arc with Murmur.
Well, aren't you gonna get
animated.
a live action Flashpoint movie? Isn't that what the talk is? We're gonna have what's his face?
Wedge Face McGee playing.
We're
Flash?
gonna have Negan. No, we're gonna have Negan play Batman. Play Thomas Wayne as Batman.
They don't even listen. They can't even keep a director down.
Yeah. Well, they can't do it.
I actually don't like any of the I don't like any of the Trinity really. Wonder Woman's okay depending on the writer, but she needs a very specific type of writer. Otherwise, she's just this naive, man-hating psychopath, like she was in New 52.
Right.
So, but for the most part, Superman, because even when he's OP, he's not written like everybody in the universe is afraid of him like Batman is all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there we go on that. I haven't, like we said, I haven't been impressed with the latest Batman animated films. The one with Harley Quinn, just if you want a good version of that, go watch the Batman cartoon from the 90s when they have to use Harley to track down Joker because he's got a bomb that's going to blow up Gotham City. That's so much better. It's so much a better version. The Killing Joke, probably if you cut out the first 15 minutes of it, because it was just weird and awkward and unnecessary to the story, it probably would have been better.
Right.
And again, if they had kind of stuck with that art style more.
Yeah.
But DC's got to quit riding the Batman
coattails, cape tails.
Well, I was going to say the bat pole, but
the bat pole. That's terrible. All right. Let's go ahead and hit the next article here. You want to go ahead and take this one?
Yeah. Okay. So 4chan has trolled Marvel Comics. They got a letter printed. It's not a very good letter, and it's not like too on the nose, but there should have been enough references that as much time as these Marvel writers spend online. Real quick, I have not watched the Death Note live action movie yet.
I haven't either.
Have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I'm kind of not wanting to.
After
reading the volume 1, I kind of don't want to. After what I've heard.
I don't. What's that black thing? Oh, his.
Should we do what's that? Oh, that's my wedding ring. anyways, Yeah, I haven't watched it for the single fact that, man, it's not doing well as far as what people are saying. Uh, Everybody's cringing when people say, "All right, I'm getting ready to watch the live action Death Note," and I'm like, "Oh god." So
So anyway, so Marvel Comics has been struggling lately, due to hiring inept writers, making boring extended events, and pushing agendas that no one cares about. For example, Marvel Comics America, the ongoing series about Marvel Comics, starring the character Miss America Chavez, written by Gabby Rivera and drawn by Joe Quinones, Ming Doyle, and now Raymond Villabronos. Boros, like the supervillain from One Punch Man.
yeah, there you go.
With upcoming pages from Jamie Hernandez, a first-time monthly Marvel comic. A first for the monthly, blah, blah, blah. And for some time on the internet, it's been considered the very worst comic on the planet. It commits... I should have edited this better, but so the writer of it is his first-time novelist. She has a young adult novel out. She has a character, America Chavez, who's an alien, but when she decides to come to our reality, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to be Latino," and then she speaks she uses Latin and Spanish terms, and they aren't right. They're not in the correct context. Like Latin and Spanish speakers actually complain about that. They're like, "How do you not know how to speak the language that your character is reading?" So, and writing people out of character, all that kind of crap. It's just bad. Inconsistent writing, plots that go nowhere, characters that don't do anything. So the subgroup 4chan/co, everybody, the comics and TV or whatever it is, which focuses on comics, animation, etc. They sent a fake letter to America, to the editorial staff, to mark the series with over-the-top praise that they think this comic undeservedly gets. And then they compare the comic to the much-derided movie The Room, which you should all know. It's the meme frenzy of the last year or so. The letter is signed from CEO, the 4chan subforum in question. So here we go. So some of the group mocked the sender for being too obvious, or not making the right jokes, or being a wasted opportunity, and saying that it would never get published. No, not that room.
It's no, that's the Panic Room. The room with the chick, what would be Captain Marvel, I think, right?
I don't know.
Never mind. No, the room with. Is this it? 2003?
Potentially. I don't know.
Manipulates successful banker's fiance, tempts and manipulates his best friend?
Yeah, that sounds about right. So here's the letter. Dear Gabby, I just wanted to express all the joy and entertainment that America has brought me these past many months. Every time I see it online, I get excited and feel so many different emotions fill me up. The art, the writing, the original yet familiar characters, they all bring out so much for me and many others online and in real life. I can't help but laugh at every other thing this comic brings to me. Sometimes I'm left beyond belief what I've seen printed. I promise you, as soon as the trade comes out for this book, it will be my recommendation to to the comic book reading club I'm a part of. Many of the members are fans of The Room, so I'm sure they will go for it. Hopefully, your comics get the love and ratings they deserve. Sincerely, CO. So, somebody posted this. 2 theories. There is literally no editorial control on this book whatsoever, which, yes, considering the blatant errors that they've had, not only their writing, but the art and just the blatant misspellings. Yes, there's probably no editorial oversight. Or 2, they receive so few positive letters, they'll print every single one. And I think it's both. I think that they barely get anything, and so they're going to just print whatever they get, and that nobody reads it as like, The Room, huh? Is it the Jodie Foster movie, like our friend just said? Have fun. I'm so Loki. Thank you for following. We will see you another day. We post all the time, hopefully. Most of the time.
Yep.
So anyway, So America is struggling. It's been dropping pretty quickly down to selling this. They've already canceled the Unstoppable Wasp due to throwing an unwanted character into an established character's name, turning the character into some 2D walking, as in like two-dimensional walking trope, as opposed to a fleshed-out and human character. So
Great.
That's what Marvel's been doing lately. They just throw a bunch of number ones out there. Hopefully something sticks and something gets steam. So they'll sell like 50,000 copies, and then they'll start dropping steadily. And then they'll have something crazy happen, so it'll pop back up for a little bit, and then just drop off.
That probably happened. I imagine that probably happened with Ironheart, too.
Well, it's technically called Iron Man, and because, again, they're trading off the name, not the character they're writing.
Right.
Like this girl, spoiler alert for the latest Iron Man, she accidentally took over a country.
Great.
That's what heroes do, right? They fly in and take over a country.
Next time you're gonna tell me it was what was it, Sokovia?
It's one of those false countries. I forget which one. So Marvel Comics, this is rumors now. So rumor alert here. Marvel Comics is rumored to be in trouble. Word around the comic book campfire is that Marvel's line of comics are a disaster behind the scenes, and big changes are coming our way. So take this with a huge grain of salt, because this information showed up on 4chan and some other boards like that. But thank you for following. But let me get my words out. Come on, brain, work 100%. But this wouldn't be the first time that information's come out from 4chan or through Reddit or Imager, and it's actually been true. So let's just take this with a grain of salt and let's check it out. So it's saying that a lot of the replacement characters, like Adam S. Cho's Hulk, Wade Wilson's Captain America, not Wade Wilson, Sam Wilson, Jane Foster's Thor, etc.
Right.
And to add some more salt, Marvel is looking to bring back the originals to the Inhumans and X-Men to hope to boost sales. Here's some of the rumors. Editorial is miserable, understaffed, and underexperienced and overworked. Direction at the top corporate level is a mess of politics and infighting. It's almost like hiring writers from the internet and people that can explain the difference between DC's Captain Marvel and Marvel Comics' Captain Marvel might not be the best idea.
Right.
Or maybe you don't understand the difference between Gray Hulk or Green Hulk, besides they're two different colors. You need to get people that are passionate about the characters, that are passionate about the world, that are passionate about the lore. Also, all the characters sound extremely the same. They all talk like this, and they always talking in meme references, and totally selfie.
Oh god!
Like these are supposed to be. First of all these new characters are the smartest person ever. So why are they talking like that? Why are they saying, "Hey, I have an IQ of 500 billion. Maybe I shouldn't need to talk like a normal person, or at least, maybe talk in a halting tone because my brain is moving too fast, or cutting out words." Like, remember how Rorschach talked in Watchmen?
Yeah.
Where he was cutting out certain adverbs or whatever. Dead dog in alleyway. Gut burst open from tire track or whatever. It was real haltingly because he wasn't stupid or anything. He was actually a very intelligent person. He was just warped. But you got to think what would a super genius sound like? They would not be talking like they post on Twitter all the time.
Right.
So here's some more notes, and again, cut me off anytime you want to say something. They all look the fool to Disney because of Feig's split and the bad PR and constant gaming of their declining sales is wearing on them. Top brass, and remember, I didn't edit this. This is just I ripped it because I wanted to try to stay true to what they were trying to say, so forgive any issues with me reading it. So top brass want to make a hard left back to what worked with Steve, Thor, Tony, Banner, and other recognizable faces. Editorial knows how bad it's going to push all their diversity celebrations to the side. The reality is those books aren't selling. And
when he's talking about the gaming, the declining sales, what they're talking about is when they do those large prints for say, Loot Crate or any of those boxes or some kind of subscription crap that they're just saying, yeah, we printed this many copies, but really in reality they're being given away and paid at a hugely reduced price by Loot Crate for them to package.
Or they're doing this, they're forcing them on the comic shops. The comics, they might say, okay, I'm going to order 5 copies of this. They're like, no, you're getting 15. You got to pay us for them.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of comic shops are closing because when, and this is the theory, like Diversity of Comics says this, Captain Cummings says this, Doug Ernst says this, a lot of comic book YouTubers are saying stuff like this, is when Marvel Comics suffers and is weak, the comic book industry, it's one of the biggest comic book, I mean, between not really the games, but the movies, $7-10 billion worth of movie revenue.
Right.
Not mention what the comics have done in the past. This is one of the biggest companies on the planet, especially with comics. They're one of the top 3, one of the top 2.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're number 1. They're top dogs. Yes, when they suffer, everybody's suffering.
Right.
So so like you said, they're pushing these events. They used to sell out. Did you know that when Superman, the Death of Superman came about, when he was fighting Doomsday, those sold out. They actually had a shortage because the last issue was printed with a black ribbon for people to wear. Ran out of black ribbon in America.
Huh.
Because so many people were buying the comics and stuff.
Wow.
So they're trying to do that kind of thing again. They keep trying to recapture that kind of magic with these events, but nobody cares about them. They're making unlikable characters. And so comic shops will have a stack of these rare events like this thick because nobody wants to buy them because they all suck. Right. Spoiler alert for Secret Empire. You know what happened? You know how they fixed the problem? Did the new superheroes rise up against evil Captain America and overthrow him and defeat him? No. What happened is this Deus Ex Machina literally jumped out of a portal, said, hey, here's the real Captain America, real as in a manifestation from the Cosmic Cube or whatever. He showed up. The Steve Rogers Captain America beat the crap out of the Hydra Captain America, or the Hydra Cap, whatever you want to say, Captain Hydra. Beat him up, hands the shield back over to Sam Wilson. Is like, no, you guys take the victory, and walks off. And then all these Sam Wilson, Jane Foster, all these new heroes are standing around. They're like, victory, we did it. That's how it more or less ends.
Right.
Characters that weren't even, like, somehow they showed up for the splash page. They weren't even there to watch the final fight, but they showed up for the victory pose. So to me is like the perfect synopsis for recent Marvel Comics, is that the original characters that everybody knows and loves show up. They do all the heavy lifting. They try to hand it over. They're like, okay, here, take the praise for it. These new characters try to, and they fumble it. And and the thing is, we've discussed it before, some of these characters make sense. It makes sense for Sam Wilson to become the new Captain America because he's been with Cap for years. So I don't mind that. But when he turns into this completely different, like, militaristic psychopath, there's a problem there. When he knows what Captain's ideals are, and he should try to uphold them. Jane Foster, why is she worthy? They still haven't explained that. Because she has cancer? In fact, the Legacy series that just went on, I know we're running long, and I'm sorry on this, but the Legacy series, they had to put her with the inexperienced, unworthy Thor, because if they had put her up against the real deal, because what they're doing with the Legacy series, people, is they're teaming up like the established hero, like the Thor, the Bruce Banner, Hulk, what have you, right, with the new person. And all this is, and I predicted it when I first heard about it, is all they're going to have is the original character say, oh, you're so amazing, you're better than me, all this, I aspire to be like you, as opposed to the new character saying, I learned a lesson with them. They are really amazing. This Thor, Bruce Banner, Tony Stark, they are amazing characters, or they're amazing people. I need to live up to their level. Right. So they had to pair her with a Thor that couldn't pick up the hammer, that was 2,000 years younger than modern age. And so when he says stuff like, how's a witch able to pick up Mjolnir when I can't? And she's like, maybe because you said the word witch? Well, sweetheart, it's literally 2 BC. That's the word they have there.
Right.
In ye old English times. Like, that's like saying a chick or a girl or a person for him. Okay?
Right.
And second off, whatever. So anyway. So they're doing stuff like that. A lot of it had to do with Marvel's chintzy practices finally reaching a breaking point with fans, but with an internal editorial spin, is that comic shop fans aren't ready to embrace change. So they keep trying to push that it's the fault of the consumer as opposed to looking internally, which is what DC realized with 52. They're like, wow, this really sucks. The fans are trending against us. Let's try something else. The terrible reaction to Hydra Cap's Secret Empire forced a change in plans. Originally, it was going to end with a quasi-Dark Reign scenario where Hydra is vanquished thanks to cubic shenanigans, and the World Security Council from the movie steps in to assume power over superiors, and everything that Civil War era overtones with registrations, boot camps, and the idea of an inhuman ban. So basically, they're going to rehash the same crap from 3 or 4 years ago that sucked and nobody liked. They're planning on potentially bringing back the Ultimate line for teen heroes, which would be cool. Like making Miles the Ultimate Spider-Man again. Riri, I believe it is, become Ultimate Iron Man. That kind of stuff. That might be interesting. The Ultimate line was really cool. And just some other stuff like that. Jane Foster dying was always the end game with the storyline, but because they've had like 3 females read the comics with her,
right?
And even the casual comic fans that I know, they want the females. They want Thor because Thor's hot, you know. They're trying to have a way for her to stick around. They're thinking about making her the new Valkyrie. So classic Thor's going to be spacebound a while, definitely through the Ragnarok film. They're saying Slott's going to be off Amazing Spider-Man, which is going to be amazing because he is horrible. They're going to move him over to Friendly Neighborhood for the fear that he would sign an exclusive with DC if they took him away completely. Plus, he struggles with deadlines, and there's less risk with him off to the side. They can't ignore declining sales anymore, and it's time to start refresh. I don't think DC would want him. He's too mean. He's too lazy. He belittles and bullies fans. Why would you hire somebody like that tries to sick his fans on Twitter onto people? Innocent people there say, I don't really like the idea of this comic.
Great.
I read a wiki article and I wasn't a fan of it.
Hey,
how does that hurt your sales? That from a comic that almost halfway done. Whatever. So, there's a ton more here. I'm not going to get in all of it, but it's like stuff like they're planning on making Carnage a big villain for Venom, which might be neat. Power Pack and early development for a freeform show. A comic would obviously follow. But here's the long and short of it. All the rumors aside, sale figures don't lie. Marvel Comics sales are plummeting. Even when they send more or unordered books to comic shops everywhere, they refuse to respond to actual constructive criticism. They let the writers go crazy over everything, bullying, belittling, and pushing away devoted fans when they try to explain that pushing new characters and established characters' costumes doesn't work. It's forced and boring, especially when you don't let those characters have flaws. If you showed Riri Williams struggling to master the Iron Man suit, to saying, I am not as smart as Tony Stark, I'm going to have to figure something else out. I can't just whip up a new piece of equipment, which, let's be fair, they bumped up Stark's intelligence because he used to have an entire IT team building his equipment for him on top of robots. So this isn't the way to go. But that's neither here nor there. What do I know? I'm only a consumer. I've only bought all this stuff for the comics, but whatever. I'm sorry that went so long. But
no, that's fine. Hey, while you were talking, I was looking at something because I saw something about a new Thor trailer that just got released last night. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah.
You have? No? Okay, we'll save it for next week, but they mentioned something about the Revengers. And I assume you know what that means.
I can neither confirm nor deny that. I mean,
okay,
do you really want me to go into it?
No. That's why I said we'll save it for next week. That'll be one of our good talking points, because apparently there's some talk between a couple of the different articles about the Revengers. So, but anyways, or at least how they did the trailer and the fact that it says, I guess it says the Thor Ragnarok meet the Revengers in the new trailer. So we'll talk about that next week. A nice little sneak peek for what we got with the comics, because we'll probably get a little history on that too. Because I started reading on who the Revengers were, and that's kind of interesting.
Kind of, huh?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I recognize some of the names on here from the actual Earth 616 Revengers. So, all right, why don't we? Is that it for the comics? Right.
That is it for the comics and stuff. Ain't that enough?
Finally. All right. Now that we're an hour and a half in, let's go ahead and get to the movies, huh? Barry's here. Hey, look, it's the Disney Netflix thing. It's reared its ugly head. I did not link the article, but short and sweet and to the point, Disney has now come out and said that they are pulling Marvel and Star Wars movies from Netflix. So, my question is, and this will be short because this is the only thing we got in the movies and TVs for tonight. My question is how damaging is this to Netflix?
It depends on how much they can push out within a year.
So this
or
is
two. How long is the contract for? 2019 or 2018?
2019, I think.
Unless Disney decides to pull out early
and just
violate their contract and just pay, which Disney can write a check so big it sounds like a brick when it hits the table.
Well, I mean, especially with the sheer amount of money that they've earned combined between the purchase of Disney and the purchase of Lucasfilm,
right?
Or the purchase of Marvel and the purchase of Lucasfilm. So my big thing is I've been kind of watching this because you start seeing things fall off, and Netflix has been spending tons of money on original content and less securing regular contracts with other studios for their property to bulk up in beside their original content. So you see a lot of things falling off. They're still getting some because they have some contracts that are still continuing, but all of a sudden you secure a huge deal with Disney and then you can't hold it. Yeah, it is incoming. We already knew it was. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, the last show, that they were going to be moving all of their Disney proper stuff to their own thing, and including also a ESPN channel on the app. So actually showing live ESPN footage on the Disney app, whichever form that may come in. But they're going to lose... and see, that's the thing. Hulu's been knocking it out of the park with the contracts they've been securing, and they're still generating some original content, but not as much as Netflix. Netflix was on par to, what did we say? They had dumped over $500 million in this year at least.
They're $20 billion in debt right now.
They're $20 billion in debt, yeah, but they just secured another $500 million in credit. They also bought They bought an animation studio, or was that Disney that did?
I think they bought an animation studio. They've doing a lot of anime stuff now, not just crap like Death Note, but they're like bringing more anime up.
I'm excited. I want to see more Castlevania.
Yes, absolutely. If they can do more gaming stuff like that, they're going to keep me around. If just imagine if they made like a Mega Man X on that level, or well, they got Witcher coming out too. Remember?
Yeah.
Hopefully that's it. After seeing Castlevania, I'm praying.
I still stand by that one suggestion that Mads needs to play The Witcher. I think he'd probably be the perfect pick.
He'd have to bulk up, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, they can do that. Kittens brought up a good point too. Hulu is definitely smart. They brought in HBO. They are now Hulu's competition is no longer Netflix. Hulu's competition is Amazon. Because Amazon also has basically the same stuff. They have the add-on for Cinemax, Showtime, or not Cinemax, Stars, Showtime, and HBO. Plus, they had all HBO's historical stuff. So, the older seasons of Game of Thrones are on there. Veep, Band of Brothers, anything in the past that's been there. The Wire, stuff like that. But they're securing all this other stuff too. And Amazon also has the contracts for FX and are showing old FX stuff as well. So, like The Americans and stuff like that. Archer, I think, is showing up on there now. Yeah, well, cable and still Amazon. I mean, cable I think is going away unless Comcast just figures something out.
Unless they make some kind of, unless they can pull some strings in Congress, which they have done in the past.
Yeah.
Cable is on the way out because they're just too much of a pain in the neck to deal with.
It's too big of a package. Too much money to spend on things that you don't watch.
Exactly.
TV on demand is the new in. Well, it's been the new in. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Netflix. At the very least, they saw this coming because everybody was eventually going to say, "Hey, why am I going through this middleman? Why don't I just put my own stuff out?" So they've at least tried to make some new content. Yes, they've done really good. They've done great with Voltron. They've done great with Castlevania, Stranger Things, the Marvel superhero series. Even their weakest ones are great. But if they release crap like Death Note,
you lose some faith points there.
Right. Yeah, I'm willing to give them one or two missteps. So I'll let Death Note slide.
Sense8.
Huh?
Sense8.
Sense8.
I heard that was softcore porn. That's what it turned into.
So I don't know. Then what was it? But then they have stuff like the Dear White People and the 13 Reasons Why, and like, really, guys?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what Netflix is going to do. I know this is a huge blow for them because
this was one of their bigger contracts. This was an important one for them to hold on to.
And they were just now getting like now Disney's putting. It's weird because Disney now throwing everything at them because every other week I'm seeing like an email saying, "Oh, well, this just got released on Netflix."
Right.
So I don't know, and it's weird that now that Disney's announced that they're pulling all their stuff, they're showing everything because it seemed like they were trying to reserve all this other stuff from all their old Disney movies from hitting it. Now they're just giving them everything. Hercules is on there, Moana's on there, Doctor Strange, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and there's counterpoints. There's counterpoints to your own service. CBS is not going to do well. They're going to do well for 12 or 15 weeks, however long Star Trek's going to go, and then people are going to cancel. They're not going to watch it again. They're not going to go back and watch the old stuff. They can do that on Netflix. That's the one thing. CBS has has most of their stuff still on Netflix, and they're competing with themselves. It's kind of like BBC. BBC is going to put their own channel out eventually too. There was talk that Amazon would no longer carry Doctor Who, and then it got renewed because BBC wasn't ready to launch their channel yet. But that's going to be in direct competition with their own properties at that point. Though differences in geographical locations are going to also be a detriment to that. In the UK, it's probably easier to get Doctor Who in there.
Are you saying that people aren't going to want to watch CBS Online for the old episodes of 60 Minutes?
What? No, nobody watches that crap. My parents probably don't even watch that crap anymore.
I know, that was the joke, is that CBS has no content.
Oh,
They've got a couple old shows from the 90s, cartoon shows from the 90s.
Right.
That's about it. They have nothing besides Star Trek. And they are so lucky they've got that. So I think that they're going to crash and burn, and they're going to send stuff. They might still go through Netflix. They might pull their contract, go through Hulu. Fox, maybe they can start streaming some old stuff. I mean, they already do Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland Show, I think, still on there. But like, I want to see like your older shows. I don't know. I don't know how Netflix is going to do. They've got to up. Again, so far they've got like a solid A- in original content, maybe a high B, with like the failures of Death Note and some really dumb choices.
Right.
But then they've got so many good ones. Like again, I'm going to go rewatch Castlevania again. I've been actually dying to rewatch it again.
Right.
Because the only when your complaint is that the show is too short, you're doing something right.
Yeah, for sure. They hit the nail on the head on that one.
So I'm absolutely hoping maybe they'll get lucky. Maybe Nintendo will pull their head out of their butts and make a Metroid show. Could you imagine Metroid animated like that?
That would be great.
Or what I would love? Eternal Darkness. That's one of the best horror games of all time.
Yeah, for sure. I love that one. That was great on the GameCube, right?
Yes, sir.
Yay, mini discs. All right, let's hit the last section here with the good old video games, because there's plenty in there to talk about, and we'll try and speed through that as well. Where's my button? There. All right, so when I saw this note on there, I thought it was neat, and I mentioned something about it before, but this will be making a comeback on the Super NES Classic console. But Yakuza 2 and Secret of Mana remakes are happening.
So I've never played either one of those, and if it's owned by Disney, it's probably going to be pulled with that contract. Maybe the only thing I think staying around, and I'm sorry to going back on this, but I wanted to answer Kittens here.
Yeah, I see that now.
Is that I think they keep the Marvel shows
because they're a joint venture. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's its own separate contract. I think. I think they license those, so they get to keep those.
The kids stuff, they're definitely going to pull and push onto the Disney app for sure. The stuff that you'll still have the Nickelodeon stuff that's on Netflix. Nickelodeon stuff's all over Netflix and Hulu. So. And
Amazon Prime. And SpongeBob's on there, which is all that Netflix is, or Nickelodeon is these days. Anyway, so let's go to this. So, Yakuza 2, never played it. Secret of Mana, never played it. So this is actually great for me because I really want to play Secret of Mana. You know, I don't know why. I never got into RPGs as a kid, and
that was like one of the talks of the town back then.
I know, and that's the first. Well, first of all, my town wasn't very big, so it was a bunch of it was all the platformers, the running, shooting, the super contras, that kind of stuff. I did play stuff like Legend of Zelda a little bit. I did play a little bit of the Final Fantasy stuff. I didn't play Chrono Trigger until I borrowed a PlayStation 1 copy, I believe it was. But that's still, I mean, that's absolute. That has to be in the top 5 RPGs of all time, easily. But this Secret of Mana has always been up there. Hopefully they do it right, because they've remade games before with like Final Fantasy, was it 6? With Kafka?
I think so, yeah.
And that looks horrendous. I've got it.
Because then they made another horrendous game after that, number 7. The worst Final Fantasy game ever made.
The worst. 8 or 13. Hallway Fantasy 13.
10 was pretty good.
10 was bad. No, but so anyway, so I'm hoping that this is like a really good, like genuine, like we pulled in a bunch of people that absolutely adore this game and had them work on it. Not people that basically pulled up the sprites and were like, oh, these are old sprites. Let's just blur them with the blur tool on Photoshop. Oh, we're done. That's pretty much all they did for the Final Fantasy VI. I for some reason I have a feeling that I'm naming the wrong one, and it's frustrating because the numbers are different, like between the PAL region, us, and Japan. Because like Final Fantasy 3 was never released over here, and so they renamed 4-3 because it was in Super Nintendo, and then there's Mystic Quest and all this stuff. I don't remember.
Right. Yeah, I think it'll be cool to see that remade, and actually get a chance to maybe even play it on my computer, right?
Oh yeah, no, I've actually got it locked down on Steam.
Okay, great. So it is going to be on there. I do like so I have some tolerance for the classic RPGs, but when they did the things they did to me in Final Fantasy X, it made me want to scratch my eyeballs out. But those were like, I don't know what the hell the problem was. They had the thing turned up to where you had so much high frequency of battles that every 2 steps you took, you're in a fight again. It's like, well,
okay, so the random battles that's probably the worst aspect of old video games.
In the older ones though, like the Nintendo and Super Nintendo era, they weren't as obnoxious.
Oh, you're talking about like the rate of them. Yes. For some reason, and you're right, in like 10 and 12, it was hard to get anywhere without a random battle popping up, and it sucked. That's why, like, that's what, you know. We've discussed that games do baby you a lot these days. Like, remember when I talked about Breath of Fire that I've got on my 3DS now. that they have items on there, and it's like you click on it, it doesn't tell you anything about it. It's like, good luck, you got to use it to figure out what it does.
Meanwhile, Cuphead's holding your hand, and people
yeah,
can't even understand that.
Hold your hand. One of the best things that's ever happened to RPGs is that nowadays you can see the monsters on the screen, and you can try to avoid them. That's the best thing. Which actually Chrono Trigger did that years ago. That's why that's what helped get me into other RPG type of games.
Right.
Final Fantasy IX. That is a good one. Why are you listen to that when we say bad things? Final Fantasy IX is okay. Calm down.
Am I missing some chat?
No, my wife messaged me on something else because she's obsessed with dying. It's okay. Calm down. It's an okay game. It doesn't even have a tail sword in there. You had the big sword in 7, and you had the gun sword in 8. Where's the tail sword? Great. The guy had a tail. Why didn't it become a sword?
Right. So we'll look forward to those, and I'm sure you'll.
We didn't even talk about Yakuza 2. Yakuza's a very popular series. They just had a new one come out a few months ago, I think, which is supposed to be a prequel. Was it Yakuza 0 or something? I don't remember. Either way, I would love to play this because I hear that the games are like, they kind of operate on insanity in their own way. Kind of like how...
it takes place in
what's
December
that series?
1988.
Saints Row kind of operates. Saints Row 2 at least. Or Saints Row 3.
Yakuza 0 came out 2015 on PS3.
Oh, wow. Never mind. Wow, I'm way
PS4. Yeah, and it's in 1988. I would assume it's earlier than the other games. So
yeah, prequel.
So, and that looks. What is that? Is it an action RPG or is it an RPG?
I think they're action RPGs.
Okay.
So, what is a game from real quick? I know we've got a lot. What is a game from your childhood that you would like to see, like a 100% honest to goodness perfect remake? Like,
I don't know. I mean, with all the remakes we've gotten, I've gotten a new Wolfenstein, I've gotten a new Doom. Maybe a really good version of what? I'd have to think. You got one. Kitten says Super Mario 64.
Oh yes,
that's a classic. It really is. And for them to go back to that system would be great. I mean, don't give me...
The worst thing about Super Mario 64 that all they would need to polish is the camera. That's really it. The one that I always like to talk about is Bucky O'Hare from the NES. I'd like to see a remake of that. I'd like to see the Darkwing Duck game get remade like they did with the DuckTales one. I never really played it, but the arcade games from Dungeons and Dragons. Those would be cool to see remade.
Yeah, Zelda. Well, but like Breath of the Wild was really good. I mean, and I can go back and play Zelda 64 over and over and over again.
Majora's Mask. Oh yes.
Yeah. Well, I made it partway through. I at least finished the Deku section again. I always have problems going back to that one. I don't know. I don't think I like the flow of that one.
It's different, and that's what I love about Majora's Mask, as opposed to it did its own thing as opposed to Ocarina of Time. Everything else is built off of Ocarina of Time.
Well, what Miyamoto sees that as the more perfect form of Zelda.
Like I said, it's a different type of game. That's the thing with Majora's Mask. That's the way I like to see it, is that you're not on this sprawling quest. First of all, one great thing about it is that the villain doesn't play around. He's going to smash the moon into this town, and you've got 3 days to stop it.
Right.
You can keep rewinding time, but you've got 3 days. If you don't finish everything, boom, he's going to crash it down. It's not like when, you got to beat Ganondorf to the Temple of Time, or he's going to get so you can go and run around in a circle for 50 hours, and he's still almost there. Obviously, that's not how it happens in the game, but you know what I mean.
Right, right.
Or Breath of the Wild, where Zelda can barely hold Ganondorf back, and you have to go and rescue her right now. But, if you put 50 hours into catching a horse, that's cool, whatever. It actually gave you a real punishment for not finishing things. And even if you beat the bad guy, you didn't do all the other missions, so you got to miss out on everybody's happy ending.
Right.
I'm talking about before Ganon took over the world in Ocarina of Time when you were a kid.
Yeah.
I know he was waiting on you to get there to unlock everything, but that wasn't the point of that little joke. Is the villains with their thumbs up their butt.
I would honestly have to do some real deep thinking to try and figure out something that I'd really like to see remade. I've played so many video games in my lifetime. I could probably,
Yeah, I know it's hard off the top of your head, but these are some of the games that I kick around like constantly. Like Bucky, I always go back to that one because it was one of the first games I played on my NES.
Yeah.
So it's always stuck with me, and I
always liked
somebody that's played it.
I always liked. Oh God, Donkey Kong 64. I get that Donkey Kong game for free on the 3DS that I kind of don't like. I don't know. I wasn't always a fan of Donkey Kong. I think back to things like Bomberman was a lot of fun, and it's not so much that I'd want it remade as much as I'd just rather be able to just play it. And I know I can do that with an emulator. And I know I'd get bored with it eventually, but like Star Tropics was an interesting game when I was younger, but I was way too young for a game like that. Dragon, here you go.
When you can't appreciate the game because you were too young, and now you go back to it, you're like, oh, why didn't I love this more? Dragon
Warrior series was really good. That was an RPG with some wandering RPG mechanic where the random encounter stuff, but that wasn't overbearing like Final Fantasy was. And Dragon Warrior had a kind of a cool combat interaction where it was just you versus a monster rather than a large group of monsters versus a large party that you're controlling. So you could focus on your character. So it felt more like an adventure RPG that you could get into your character instead of, well, I got to manage Waka and Yuna and what was it? Cloud, or not Cloud, right? Titus. And Auron. Auron was my favorite. Auron's a badass. Nobody's going to talk against that.
It's actually funny that you mentioned Dragon Warrior, because Dragon Warrior Monsters is one of my favorite Game Boy. And they actually did remake that for Japan only.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. I actually talked about a Pokemon MMO RPG would have been amazing if they would do that.
Yeah, that would be neat.
And I agree with you. I have people tell me all the time, well, why don't you just get an emulator and get a ROM of it? I'm like, well, that's kind of not the point. I want to buy it again, show my appreciation, and play it like that. I want to play it honestly.
Right.
I don't want to just get an emulator. That's easy. And I've done it before because there's games that I was like, I have to play this again. I have to do it again. Just gotta get that itch. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. We'll probably have a sidebar on that next week because this episode's long.
I think these next two should go pretty quick. Magic the Gathering is creating their own digital version of the game, and what's interesting is they've said that they have the technology installed to the game engine to be able to scan in the cards they create for distribution in paper format and have them just work in the game. So it's, manipulating the use of keywords on the cards and then programming the animations, because from this next picture you can see there's animations on the screen that show, basically a Hearthstone-like effect that they're using. And Hearthstone wasn't first to the frickin' table with the collectible card game, but they definitely improved upon it. And like the Duels of the Planeswalkers games that came out a few years ago on the tablets and stuff were okay, but very encumbersome. And this one's more Gwent. There you go. This one actually has the mechanics of tapping for your lands and stuff, but it stacks them up nice, and they're not like in the way in the playing field and stuff. They're along the bottom above the deck and the hand. So that's not bad. And you've got your line of creatures that are attacking. But it's good to see them get into this. This is the way that we're going. People don't want to carry around full decks anymore. People want to sit in their underwear at home and play Magic against people. They had this thing back in the day, and I still have the disc on my shelf. The Magic the Gathering Encyclopedia from the 90s that also had an online feature where back in the dial-up days I was able to play games against real people using cards that I had access to or had built a deck with just at random. So it's neat to see them step into the arena. Magic has a specific look to it, and the artists that they have are great, and it looks like they're transferring those arts to the cards in the game. And that is a great thing. The mechanics work a little different in Magic the Gathering in regards to how attack and defense works. You know, at the end of the round, the character gets their attack and defense, or their defense points back, where in Hearthstone they just go. But Hearthstone is a little more simpler than the more in-depth system that Magic has. So it'll be interesting to see how it translates. It's currently in beta, and they're accepting beta applications if you really want to try it, which I may consider doing just to see how it works. I assume they're probably going to do the same thing as Hearthstone with the packs and stuff, but we'll have to see on that.
So I played Hearthstone, and I appreciate it for what it was, and I enjoy the animations and stuff. I don't play that many card games. One, because when I grew up, and there was the Pokemon TCG out, I had nobody to play with.
Right.
So I was just sitting there with the cards. I'm like, oh well, these are pretty, but
I
had nobody to play with.
I never played my first Magic game till I got to where we used to work together. Honestly,
yeah.
Like the first year or two that I was there, I actually finally learned to play. I had tons of cards in the 90s. We used to go to the Gibraltar Trade Center in Michigan, and they would have card shows every so often, and I would walk out of there with a box of cards. I had so many cards that I can't even find most of those anymore, but I'm sure they were worth some money. I had tons of cards and no one to play with. The atmosphere of today's geek world is a lot more accepting than it used to be. So
you kids have it so lucky these days. You just don't understand.
Right.
We had to drive an hour just to meet some other weirdos.
Right.
No, but yeah. So I never got. Well, but the thing is, I didn't even know Magic existed. Like I said, Pokemon. Everybody carried those cards. Nobody carried Magic cards. No, I didn't have like a comic book shop. They didn't do trade things where I was from.
Right.
So I didn't know what I didn't know. And again, I have never bothered to pick up a Magic thing because knowing me, if I get the slightest bit into it,
you're gonna fall in.
I'm going to spend $1 billion on it.
Right.
Of money I don't have. I'm going to have to take more food out of my wife's mouth because I'm not going to miss a meal. I mean, can you see me? I'm skin and bones. So I can buy more cards. And I had that feeling when I started playing Hearthstone. I was like, this is something I could get into. I'm not good at the game, but it's like I could sit there and play the game and
you'd
do
probably
other stuff.
You'd probably eventually get good at it. I mean,
I probably would, but I realized that I would have to start buying all these cards and stuff.
Well,
yes, I know you can win them.
Okay.
I would start buying them. Okay.
Well, and
I know how my addictions work.
But they have good deals too. I actually traded in some gold and bought some of the new Lich King packs, but they also have what's called a welcome pack, and it guarantees you one legendary, and it gives you like 8 or 10 packs for $5.
Again, I absolutely understand.
No, I know.
But that'd be $5 for 10 packs, and I'd spend $30 on them.
Well, you'd only get that once. You'd have to buy the lower boosters later.
Again, I would continue to buy. So I have to cut myself off. I'm like, okay, well, I can watch my friends play this. So that's why I can't get into Magic. I want to get into Warhammer 40K so bad, but then it's like, oh, you got to drop $1,000 for like the basic set, and I'm like,
all right, I'm out. Yeah.
Listen, I've already broken down, and I've got miniatures still in the box. I opened these up so we could look at them.
Those are those bones that you got.
Huh?
Those are the Reaper bones that you got, or is that
yes.
That's the new set? Yeah.
No, that's the one from that Kickstarter from 4 years ago. And guess what? I just bought paint and stuff too because I'm going to paint some of them.
Nice.
teach myself how to paint them.
Awesome. I did.
Because
It's fun.
I should not. I am not an adult, people. But no, this is actually really neat, and I know people are going to say, "Oh, it's just a Hearthstone ripoff," even though Magic has been around for 1,000,000 years.
Hearthstone is the Magic ripoff. Seriously,
yes,
let's be honest. They just put it in their world and did it well.
Right. Yeah, and they gave it a lot of personality because looking at digital decks can get boring. I mean, you sit there and it's intensive for the players, but for somebody to sit on the side, so they had to make it animated. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and that sensationalizes it. And sometimes when those players turn those huge attacks, it's amazing that they can wipe out the enemy's front lines and then wipe the enemy out in one turn. And it's like, well, like they got lethal, I guess. Here we go.
Yeah.
So it's exciting, especially when they do it at BlizzCon and they do it on that big the tavern stage. You've seen it before, right? For the
I watched it. It's
awesome.
It is. This is like when I watch it like that, I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is what people feel like when they're watching people play poker.
Right.
But I don't feel that way when first of all, I think poker's cheating when they wear the hats and the glasses. They pull like a jacket up all the way. I'm like, no, that's performance enhancers. Like that's the equivalent to steroids in football and baseball. You have to have them sitting there regular, like in a t-shirt or something. The girls, they'll wear low-cut shirts and stuff. Like, that's not fair. That's not fair.
It's not fair.
Yeah, you all need to be wearing the same uniform.
Right.
You don't see the Baltimore Ravens go out with spikes on their outfit,
right.
do you?
Yeah.
Or wearing rocket boots.
The Legion of Doom.
Exactly. So that's just how I feel. But no, this is cool. I really wish Kyle or our buddy Sly or some other people that were into Magic had popped on like our chat.
Right.
So I at least tagged Kyle. I might have forgot to tag Sly. I'm sorry. But so maybe they could give us their perspective on it because I know they play. If it was when we were working together, then you've only been playing on and off for a couple of years.
Yeah. And I haven't bought packs in quite a long time. Actually, I got my wife into buying them because she likes opening the kids' blind boxes and stuff, but she got into opening packs, especially when we were looking for the Planeswalkers, which usually sell anywhere from $10 to $100, depending on what you get. Which you could recoup the cost of your case you just bought and a little bit extra. But I have a whole backpack sitting in the closet room next to me that has a few built decks that I learned how to play really well, and then when my friends decided to do that thing where they spend a little more money than I did to go out and specifically buy certain cards and actually tool their decks, I was getting ripped on, and man, those colorless creatures are amazing. What's going on, Jeppy?
Here's my thing. So that brings me to this other point. You remember Yu-Gi-Oh when he would say, "Believe in the heart of the cards" and stuff?
You've activated my trap card. Gotcha.
But he would say, "Believe in the heart of the cards." He was actually using his powers to bring the card he wanted to the top of the deck. So his heart of the cards was cheating.
Right.
Yu-Gi-Oh cheated. Well, of course, his superpower was, literally his superpower was, to win any game. So, whatever. Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
All right, well, let's go ahead and cover this next one. This one will be inflammatory in nature, and that should be fun, too. And, we've already run long, so what's one more? Bethesda released the Creation Club for Fallout 4, and people aren't happy, especially after Bethesda said, no, we're not going to make you pay for mods. Well, joke's on them. Us PC players still aren't going to pay for mods, because as long as the code is there and they allow these mods to be there like they are, I can just get them from the Fallout Nexus with no issue. While it's a good revenue stream for those guys that make these mods, donations rather than purchase price, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like when a game tries to make me when they make me try to buy
useless skins?
Yeah. But if they don't force me to, and they allow me to purchase them on my own, and the game is good, then I consider it more. It's like, yeah, sure, okay. I want this outfit to look cool in Guild Wars 2, or this skin looks really neat for this guy, and or this skin looks great for this ship in Elite Dangerous. Knowing full well I'm never going to see it, except when I use the external camera just to look and take a picture or something. But other people will see it and they'll think it's cool. Destiny got in a little trouble this week with the people playing Destiny 2, and they made their shaders. One-time use now instead of being able to just store them and use them on whatever armor you need to, and people are in an uproar. But they've come out and responded and said, as you go in time, you will get plenty of shaders that you will just end up throwing out a lot. I think it's kind of garbage. I don't understand why they didn't just keep it the way they are. I want to go purchase this one. Just make it a decent amount of glimmer, and oh well. It just makes me
exactly. Why would you make it where you can throw it away? Make it a single key item that you don't, that you can use on anything. If it doesn't change the stats of the system, it's just to make it look prettier. And if it's not for bragging rights, then
it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't make sense for especially the community that Bethesda games have. This hurts their community, not helps it. This makes me want to play their games less at some point, or just play it at its base and not add on anymore. You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird. But anyways, is there any rarity to it? That I'm not sure.
Like, if it's a bragging rights thing, like, okay, well, this shader will give you, like, a pink shading that...
Oh, well, some of them are linked to achievements and stuff. Some of them are linked to things you can only get if you're playing the game during a certain time. But, the ones, the more common ones are the ones that'll drop, more often
just the regular vendor trash stuff?
Yeah. But whereas in Destiny 1, you were able to just walk up to a vendor and purchase, whatever shader you wanted, depending on what they had in stock, so... Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know. It sounds like a cheap way to pull one over on people, but apparently they said that anything that you can get off of the Eververse market is stuff that you can get just by looting too. So that's not how it was in the first one, and that's a surprise if they do that in the second one. So because the Eververse market is use real money to purchase credits to buy stuff. So not game altering stuff, but skins, emotes, stuff like that. So, but anyways, people aren't happy about this, and they have been voicing their complaints. It'll be interesting to see if Bethesda reacts at all. You can see that some of this stuff is expensive.
Yeah, it's funny because they were trying to do this before, like last year, the year before. And it was met overwhelming, with an overwhelming negative reaction. They're like, okay, we're not going to do it. But now it's like they came back and said, okay, so we're going to do it, but we're going to name it something else.
Right.
They're like, we're still going to charge you for these mods that we don't build, other people build. Right. But we're naming it something else. So now it's okay, right, fellas?
Yeah, hey? Right. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Bethesda's been making some questionable, I mean,
really,
really Warcraft gets away with. Well, Blizzard gets away with it because some of their stuff is, like the mounts and stuff. But the cool thing is, excuse me, they did the thing where most of the time you can get those mounts and pets that you can buy with real money during a time when they're donating proceeds to some kind of natural disaster, like hurricane relief funds and stuff like that.
Or the pet thing, and the thing is. When you get a mount, it usually goes with every character you own.
Right.
Except for those ones that you have to work for. Sometimes they're like, okay, well that's going to be character specific. You can't use it. You can't use this mount that you found on this monk on this hunter.
Right.
So I mean, at least they have those kind of rules. But if you're spending real money on it, they're usually like, yeah, you can use it with whatever character you want.
Right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and hit this last thing and wrap this up. This long ass train we got going on here. All right. There, picture. Nintendo loses Wii Remote patent lawsuit. You can go ahead and cover this one.
Sure thing. So this now, if you've followed us, this is not the same lawsuit as what we discussed last time. That one's about the Switch.
That's a different
one. Yep, so this is I think this is covered, but an unfortunate day for the big N, as it's announced that Nintendo of America has has lost a patent lawsuit involving its Wii remote controllers. A Dallas, Texas jury declared earlier this week that Nintendo infringed on consumer robot company iLife's motion sensing accelerometer technology in its own controllers. The verdict sees Nintendo awarding iLife $10 million, but the company has expressed intent to fight the decision. Nintendo addressed the decision in a statement. On August 31st, 2017, a jury in Texas found that certain Wii and Wii U video game systems in the software bundles infringed a patent belonging to iLife Technologies, Inc., related to detecting if a person has fallen down. The jury awarded iLife $10 million in damages. Nintendo disagrees with the decision, as Nintendo does not infringe iLife's patent, and the patent is invalid. Nintendo looks forward to raising those issues with the District Court and the Court of Appeals. On the contrary, Dallas-based law firm Munich, Wilson, Mandala spoke out about the relief and satisfaction felt on iLife's side of the situation. Since 2013, that law firm has represented iLife. The firm partner, Jamil Alibaba, head of its litigation, that's not how you say his name. It's Alib Hai, something like that. Head of its litigation practice. Today's verdict is in the result of our commitment to excellence and outstanding team effort. The lawsuit was first filed nearly 4 years ago with iLife Technology Inc. and that law firm set in motion a $144 million patent infringement case that called Nintendo's technology into question, drawing simulators to its own tech. Though iLife uses its tech to keep a watchful eye on infants in efforts to prevent sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS, and on elderly to avoid falls and injuries, the company argued that its patented technology could be implemented in other applications. In regards to Nintendo, iLife alleged Nintendo misappropriated its tech when it created its motion-sensing Wiimote controller. iLife initially sought $4 per unit royalty payment linked to a staggering 36 million Wii systems sold in the 6 years prior to the lawsuit being filed. But Nintendo contested that the iLife filed patent was invalid because the written description included wasn't properly penned. As aforementioned, Nintendo is seeking to appeal the decision. Should the company lose and the Texas jury's verdict remain, the company will dole out $10 million to iLife Technologies, which works out to be about 27 cents for each of the 36 million total Wii consoles. Unfortunately, this isn't the first and likely won't be the last time Nintendo has been embroiled in a messy legal battle. The company previously lost a 3DS patent infringement case and another against the go-kart company Mayakar, and was taken to court by the product manufacturer GameVice over the Switch Joy-Con controller design, and by Dutch electronics manufacturer Philips over motion control and interface technology patents. Whew, that's a lot of patents and stuff. Well, 110 million versus 144 million. That's a big difference. So either way, they're going to get out lucky if they only have to pay out the 10 million. And that's not really much to Nintendo. They have a lot in the bank.
Right.
But they don't want to admit guilt. And I think it's more than money at this point. It's them trying to not admit guilt on anything. I don't know. I am not a lawyer. I am not a technologist. I do not know motion controls or anything. And I just don't know. Like, there couldn't be like a potential like parallel development.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Like, how would they look at like something that's supposed to prevent SIDS and something that's supposed to prevent, to register elderly people falling?
Right.
And
yeah. No. I don't know. Man, I thought they fixed all that. So. All right. Well, you want to call it a day on this?
Yeah. Well, there's not. So
call it a night.
We'll follow up on the, like we said a few weeks ago. There's still the GameVice one. That's the one we've been kind of following, and
right.
If we hear anything from that, but I don't know if that's going to be good good news or not, for Nintendo's having really bad luck lately, but hopefully we'll see.
Yeah,
but
we'll
yeah,
see.
I'll definitely call it a day because we've talked so much about playing video games. I really want to play some video games.
Yeah, might be time to do that. I got some space junk to mine. All right, well, that's all we got for you this week, everybody. Thank you for listening, and thanks for those of you who joined us on the live streams on Twitch and Twitter. Remember, if you can't find these links, you can get them on the webpage at stasisgeek.com/live, and that'll take you to a page that will have both of the streams. You can click through to YouTube or Twitch to get to them. Please leave us feedback on our show everywhere you can get our show from. We'd greatly appreciate it because more people can discover us that way, especially with the way iTunes works now, with the way they changed. Because they have I guess they have a separate app now for iTunes podcasts, which is pretty interesting. Hopefully it'll get us showcased eventually. Other than that, don't forget to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/stasisgeek. If you want to find a way to give back, there's information there, whether it be monetarily or any other type of way you can donate time or any efforts to the show. Like I said, we want this to be our show. We're here to facilitate, and obviously we take the input from the live chats and involve you guys in the shows, and that's probably one of the best parts and one of my favorite parts about doing this show. Now that we have an audience that actually talks with us and gives us some feedback. We'd love to have the feedback through Twitter or email like he's about to go through here in a second.
I've got my own spiel.
So I will let him do that.
Right. So hey, if you want to contact us, you can contact us. I'm a little drunk. You can contact us at ECG_podcast on Twitter. No, more than one beer it takes. I'm just really bad at talking. At our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/ECGpodcast, or our email address at ecgpodcast@gmail.com. Also, visit our webpage, like Jeremy said, www.stasisgeek.com. That's STASISGEEK.com. Or post a comment on our videos. I'm saying videos plural because I also do like unboxing videos of stuff, like toys I buy. Because again, I am a child. I've been putting together some models. Look, I put together a Sergeant Frog toy. I put together a Death Site Hell. And I've got... and you talk about listener feedback. I've got another one I've got to do. This one, somebody requested me to do this type of model. Well, it's still the same one as the Death Site here, but they said they wanted this Gundam being built, so I picked this thing up.
Awesome. That's awesome. I know who requested that. That was from that conversation that I was party to. Great. That'll be fun to see. You plan on doing that, what, this week, next week?
Probably next week.
Okay.
And then I've got a lot of stuff planned. We've got articles coming out soon, if Jeremy ever does it.
Yeah, right.
I've got a couple more unboxings I've already got planned. I'm going to do some painting of figures, and I might live stream this so we can chat. So we're trying to get some more stuff doing for the pages, And again, we love talking to you guys. It's really fun. We get on random tangents like me now, but it's I enjoy it.
Right. All right. Well, that's all we got for you this week. Like I said before, we will be back next week. I apologize again for the absence last weekend, but I had some personal issues come up that couldn't be avoided. We will be back next week. Until then, stay geeky.